All right, we're back, and this is part two of the video, part one and part two on patching your ESXi server. Part one, we went through what we're going to do and why we're going to do it, and so now we're at part two. So what I've done here is I've put my server into maintenance mode, and I have enabled SSH, and my goal now is to be able to check my current build, and I'm going to do that using Putty. So this right here is Putty. You guys, I think you guys have already used Putty. I've loaded that. Let me go ahead and establish my connection. I was asked to agree to a certificate. It came up on my other screen over here. And let me go ahead and get logged in. Okay, I've logged in as the root user. Currently, that's the only user that we have. And now I issue this command, VMware VL -VL. Okay. So what I want to note here is I want to note my build number, and I'm going to write it down. And I'll show you one other place to check, but this is where you can check the build number, but this is the go-to place. This is, this is the go-to place. The other place I was going to show you is up here on the host. And we look at this. This isn't reliable though. We say, what do you mean it's not reliable? Well, it's the same as this. It's like it can sometimes approximate or just kind of generalize, and this gives you the actual facts down here. So what we've got is we've got version 7.0 update 2 installed, build number 178.67351. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do then is we're going to go over to the VMware website and authenticate and go get the patch. That page it took me to, I didn't recognize that. What I did was I just copied and pasted the URL back in. Okay, so I did. So here we are. This is the patch page. What I do then here is, I know it's kind of different, but you come down here and you select your product, ESXi embedded or installable, version 7, there are previous versions here, and then we search on that. Okay, it's always sorted by the most recent at the top, and this seems a little bit old. Patching comes out from VMware about every 4 to 6 months, but they've had a rough spot here since September. There was we're at version update 2. There was a version update 3, and they pulled it. It had like a 3A, a 3B, and a 3C. And they pulled it because there was some problem in it, and we experienced it here in site. You might remember last semester when servers went down. That was because of this. I didn't realize it until after the fact, but it was after I had applied the update 3 patches to our servers that the lab was offline for I think 2 days or so, and while I rebuilt our ESXi servers. And at that time, I did get a successful patch to apply, but on a rebuild, but they since came out with a couple of knowledge base articles saying that there was a problem with their update 3 builds, and so they're asking everybody to go back to update 2 and wait for them to get update 3 squared away. They did say that if you have update 3 installed and successfully and you're not experiencing any problems, just to leave it alone, and that's where I'm at right now. So our production servers here are at update 3, but leaving them alone until they get things squared away on VMware side. In my time working with VMware, this is the first time that's ever happened. I've been working with VMware for a long time, like 15 years, maybe longer, and I've never seen a patch cause problems like what we experienced. So every vendor has it. Anyways, download, we download it here. Okay. So then the next thing that we're going to do, you see this takes a little bit to download, is we're gonna then go over and pick back up with the article and create a directory on our server that called patch directory and upload this file into it. Okay, so I'm back on my server and I'm still in maintenance mode. And what I want to do now is I want to create that directory, and then I want to upload my patch into it. So when you look at your default installation here, this is what you've got. You've got a folder for virtual machines, you've got storage, and you've got networking. And we haven't done anything with any of these yet. We're still in the building stages here. What we want to do is we want to expand storage, and right click on data store 1. As I mentioned, this is a default created for you, data store 1. It uses the balance of the hard drive. When you install ESXi, it takes about 150 gigabytes of the hard drive that you specify for it to install to, and it reserves that for the operating system. And then the balance of it makes available as data store 1. And Windows kind of does the same thing, right? Windows breaks up and has a partition for the operating system and the C drive and so on. Okay, so anyways, we right click on data store 1 and we go to browse, and this is all we see. It's empty right now, and this is meant to be there. It's kind of like a marker or indexing file. And we go to create a directory, and it is case sensitive. This is Linux based. Okay, so I create that directory. All right. So this is how it looks. In the notes, the path is data store 1 / patch directory, but this is how it looks in the graphical tool. Could we have done this through WinSecure Copy? Yes, we could. You could do it there as well. So what I do now is I select that directory, and then I can come over here to upload, and I can grab my patch file. I'm going to make a note of its name. It starts with a capital V, and I'm going to make a note of the build number 185.38813. I'm going to upload that as a zip file. Don't uncompress it, but go ahead and upload it as a zip file. Okay, so there it is. All right, so I can go ahead and close this. So what we need to do now is we need to go back into our SSH session and issue that command, then that will install it. So let me get that set up. Okay, I've SSH'd back into my server here, and I've typed in the initial string of that long command. So that command can be found if you go back and look at the notes or the earlier video, or if you go to that web article. The web article is probably the best place to grab it. And if you can copy and paste. I copied and pasted this much of it. And now I'm going to use the tab key to autocomplete so I don't have to type in the rest of it. So the next thing after /vmfs is volumes. So V and then tab key, then data store, D and then tab key, and then P for patch directory and tab key. And then my file name, I made a note of it, starts with a capital V, and I hit the tab key, and we can see that it ends in .zip. So you hit enter and you wait, and so I'll pause the video. And you get this resultant here. These are all the different things that got updated. But what we want to do is we want to scroll up and find that it was applied successfully. All right, so here's what we're looking for. The update completed successfully, but the system needs to be rebooted. Okay. So then down here from our SSH section, we can just type in reboot, and the server then will reboot. So I'm going to let it reboot, and then we'll come back in with an SSH session again and do that same VMware VL command to verify that our patch level did go up to 185.38813. So I'll pause and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, my server rebooted, and when you enable SSH, like when you come down here and you right click and you say enable it, when you reboot, it'll automatically disable it for you, which is a nice feature. You can permanently enable it, right? You can, but best practice is to not do that. So when I rebooted, I needed to come in and re-enable SSH. It's still in maintenance mode. It'll stay in maintenance mode until I take it out of maintenance mode. I remoted in, again, using the Putty utility, and I issued my command. And I can see here that I'm at build 185.38813, which is the patch, which is what I was after. And so that's awesome. Now, I told you earlier about you have to be careful about using this value here. It's still the earlier value. Now I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but rather than dig in to figure out why they're different, this is the go-to way to do it. So I just sometimes, you just stick with what is from the VMware literature talks about to verify the build number. This is the recommended or the official or the required way to get the actual build number. So this will be your screenshot. This is what I'll be asking from you is to I'll be looking for in the screenshot. I'll be looking for that you're on your server and that you've got the latest build here. You've got this. So that's it. So that's pretty cool stuff. Pretty geeky. We're SSHing in. We're doing all kinds of cool stuff. The last thing that we're doing with this week's project is to create a user account, and that's real straightforward. But we'll do that in a separate video. No notes will be required for that. I'll just walk you through that, and once you've seen it once, you'll be good to go. All right, well, good deal, right? We've got our server, we've got the SSL certificate applied, and we've got it patched, and we're now about to create an account for us, right? A super user account. Cool, right? We're super users. All right, I'll see you in that next video.